Okay, I know it's super late. I should probably give y'all more time to come in, but it's super late and I'm tired. But I promised on my show today that I would do a live. And so, because I'm a woman of my word, I'm going to do this live. For those of you who are new to me, hi, I'm Lurie Daniel Favors. I am the look at that. I was about to give y'all my actual bona fides in terms of where I work. Y'all don't need to know where I work. I'm an attorney, and I am the host of the Lurie Daniel Favors show on SiriusXM's Urban View, channel 126. And I run a racial justice and social justice law center. And I do these lives every day, typically during my show, which I did not do today because I'm out in social justice streets. I'm literally in a hotel right now. Just got back for this evening. Hello, everybody. Full disclosure, slightly lit, but there's so much that has happened. So much that has happened. The last time we talked, oh, I'm sorry, let me do a proper introduction. Yes, I'm Lurie Daniel Favors. I host a show on SiriusXM's Urban View, channel 126, and I am the host of Lurie Breaks It Down, the podcast, where I basically try to provide people within 35-ish or so minutes, a snapshot on all the news that I think you need to know based on my analysis and the ways in which I look at the news, both locally, domestically, internationally, and try to make it make sense for people. I'm giving all that insight because it's late as hell and I'm very, very tired. But I am out in these social justice streets, so I could not do a live during my show, which I usually do because it's late and because my show this morning was pre-recorded so that I could be on a plane, which was an ordeal. Shout out to all the TSA workers. Y'all, God bless you. Still working without any income. Those of you who air traffic controllers working without any income, I'm just grateful that my plane took off on time, landed on time. God is good, right? Because I know that y'all are not getting paid. And so I'm just grateful for the fact that y'all are still doing this work. So shout out to all of you. But typically what happens is at some point between like 10:25-ish and 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, I will open up the live during the show that I live stream on SiriusXM. And I'll share with you all a bit of the news, like my opening segment. Did not get to do that today, again, because the show was pre-recorded. And as I did say, I'm very tired and slightly lit. So take that into account. But y'all, did you, I don't know how many of you voted yesterday, but my God, did you see what happened? It was like, y'all, oh my God. Like, let me get into what happened because it was yesterday, electorally speaking, as somebody who does the work of trying to organize communities and getting communities of African descent, particularly in New York City, engaged with the ballot in ways that are meaningful, it was amazing. As somebody said, I love the slightly lit you. Hi, El Israel. Is that Izzy Israel? Is that, I don't know. There's a person I know who goes by Israel who I call Izzy, whose name is Izzy. I don't know if that's you, but if not, hi, how are you? Slightly lit Lurie is fun. I'm a good, it's a fun time. But I do want to be a little serious because of what happened last night. Now, I don't know how many of you paid attention. If you listen to my podcast, Lurie Breaks It Down, I went through a whole list of all of the wins and all of the victories. So I'm not going to do that tonight. But I do want to just hone in on the fact that I think there are some things that we as Black voters in particular really need to pay attention to. Because I have yet to find a single race. Yes, the shutdown is terrible, Jannar Jackson. It is absolutely terrible. It's completely disgusting and it was preventable, right? It's unnecessary. Like, this shutdown is not only wholly ridiculous for a whole host of reasons, but it's ridiculous because the people who are in charge of the government, the Republicans who own the House, who own the Senate, who own the White House, have basically decided that not only are they going to shut down the government, they're going to play with people's hunger, and they're going to use hunger as a political weapon to try to force concessions that, quite frankly, after last night's election results, I don't think need to be made. And so I want to be like really sober-minded, though not necessarily sober, but sober-minded about what happened yesterday. Because the more I look at the results, and I meant to get into this during the podcast episode, but because I'm coming to some of this analysis and this realization later in the evening, it just makes sense that I'm sharing it with y'all now. But basically, we had a situation where I have yet to find, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, if you know of one, fine, but I have yet to find a single race where Republicans were running in any state of the union where they won. They lost everything. Virginia, Pennsylvania, California, New York, Michigan, every single race that was happening yesterday. And this is technically considered an off-year election. I think that's bullshit language because there is no off-year election. Every election, like if you a New York City voter, we vote every single year. In fact, we vote every 6.5 months, basically. We vote in November, we vote in June every single year. There's no such thing as off-year elections. But this is an election that frankly had a lot less attention paid to it because it's not necessarily happening when congressional representatives are being elected. It's not happening when senators are on the ballot. It is considered for that reason an off-year election. But there was not a single election where Republicans won. They lost everything. And it wasn't just that they lost everything, they lost so fucking big. Like in places where Kamala Harris won, y'all, the Democrats who were running in districts that Kamala Harris actually won after her 107-day campaign, they overperformed Kamala Harris. And in places where Donald Trump won, Republicans underperformed Donald Trump. That's weird as fuck. Now, as a New York City voter, I gotta say, and I said this on the show today, which again was pre-recorded, and I said this on the podcast, I have always been a disappointed New York City voter. It's very rare that I get a chance to be a happy New York City voter. But I had a feeling of elation. It was amazing. Shout out to Zohran Mamdani who won. Shout out to my city council member, Chi Osei, who won. But it was absolutely thrilling to see not just the wins, but the percentages. Like, Democrats won bigly, hugely, like massively, like to the point where, like, for example, in New York City, again, that man, Zohran Mamdani, got more votes than any other candidate who's run since like 1969. I don't even remember who, I wasn't alive in 1969, but I don't even know who was on the ballot then, but that's how many votes he got. In Virginia, in New Jersey, I was worried about New Jersey. I gotta be honest with you, because y'all in New Jersey had a whole ass MAGA Nazi aficionado running in New Jersey. And he was a white man running against Mikey Sherrill, who frankly, Jersey was the last state in the union to end slavery. I know we talk about Juneteenth coming out of Texas, and I get it. I celebrate and honor Juneteenth and the elders who fought for it. Shout out to Mother Opal Lee, who fought for Juneteenth to become a federal holiday. I didn't necessarily think it needed to be one, but it is, and I celebrate it. But New Jersey was the last state in the union to basically end slavery. And so anything could happen in New Jersey. Like, I know people think Jersey is blue, but New Jersey is not blue. New Jersey is very purple. That woman, Mikey Sherrill, beat Chitterelli, that was the name of the candidate, the last name of the Republican candidate. She mollywopped his ass. like beat the brakes off these motherfuckers. Like, did so beautifully, handled it. Abigail Spanberger. Now, she's a whole ass CIA agent. So, there's that. Like, I celebrate that fact that she won. And this is Abigail Spanberger, who is now the governor of Virginia. Glad that she won, but she is a whole ass CIA agent. So, that gives me some pause. But she breathed the brakes off of Win Some, Lost Some. Like, Win Some, what was that woman's name? It was very interesting to see New Jersey happen the way it did, because in New Jersey, you had a situation where the Black woman candidate is a MAGA candidate, and she was batshit crazy. And a lot of the things that she said, I don't think she's technically batshit crazy, but a lot of things she said was just absolutely, completely like, girl, why did you say that? Why did you do that? And can I just say that as Black women, we should always live our lives such that we have people in our life who are going to let us know when our wigs are twisted, when our hair looks a mess, and when we look a mess. If you are living your life as a Black woman and you don't have people in your circle who are going to tell you, baby, that wig don't work, what are you doing? Like, and are you really putting goodness in the world? Because you should have sister friends who are going to tell you that. Shout out to Winsome. Glad you lost some. Glad you lost that one. But it was for a fuller breakdown of like the actual races and what happened. I covered all this in the podcast, but I wanted to come on today mainly to talk about some of the lessons that I think we as Black people need to learn. Because in New York City, in New Jersey, in Virginia, Black voters over-indexed, carried these races on their fucking backs. Black women went out and canvassed for Abigail Spanberger. Black women in New Jersey went out and made sure that Mikey Sherrill was going to get handled. Black people in New York City, out of all that shit people were talking about whether or not Black voters was going to come out for Zohran Mamdani, and it was an issue, and I get it, because in New York City we had a situation where during the primary, Black elders voted one way, they voted for Andrew Cuomo, and Black young people voted for Zohran Mamdani. And in the actual election, the group that carried Zohran Mamdani It's black voters. Abigail Spanberger. White women did the shit that they always do. They talked a good game. They didn't show up at the polls the way they needed to. White people voted for the MAGA candidate still because that's what they do. Black people carried these races. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because we have to be clear about what the strength of our power is. I told this story on my show, and I share this story often because I think it's so instructive for Black voters. There was a black elected official that I had a conversation with years ago, and this was a Black elected official who clearly won on the strength of the Black vote. Like, white people was not voting for this candidate. This candidate was crystal clear that it was Black people who were voting for them and got them into office. But the Black elected official, once they were elected, shared with me some really disconcerting kind of news. And they said basically after they got elected, the Black voters who put them in office was like, we love you. Can't wait to see you at church. They would see him in the grocery store and be like, we so proud of you. We love you. You amazing. But they, as voters, Black people did not make demands on this elected candidate. They were simply happy that the candidate was there. And I'm not mad at that because, frankly, when you are part of a community where you don't often get your needs met electorally, like having representation in those spaces really, really matters. And I get it, I understand it. But the Black elected official told me that after they got inaugurated, the people who came to their office and made appointments to speak with them, to share with them their agenda, were white voters who did not vote for that candidate to be in office. The people who made sure that they were following up on appointments and trying to do the thing. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the phone while I'm also trying to text and respond to an email that I have to get responded to that I completely forgot I was supposed to get to. The people who came and showed up at their office and made appointments and had questions about the agenda and wanted to make sure that the agenda that candidate was going, or that elected official was going to be putting forward was actually going to be in alignment with what they wanted, were the white voters. The white voters who did not vote for them, the white voters who were angry that he won, but they were excited about the fact that, and I shouldn't say excited, they were crystal clear about the fact that even though this candidate was not someone they voted for, they still represented them, right? So even if you don't vote for the person who's actually in political power in your district, they still represent you. And the people who came to this elected official's office were white voters who did not like him, who did not want them. I try to keep the gender out of the conversation. Did not like this candidate, did not want this candidate to be in office, but they understood the power of civic engagement. And so these white voters would come to this elected official's office, would make meetings, would say, we're going to be at your office at such and such a time. We scheduled an appointment with your staffer, and they would come up and they would come to the meeting with a list of agenda items. And they would say, listen, here are the agenda items. These are absolute must-haves. You simply cannot leave the negotiation table until you get this done for us. And these over here, while we are very strenuously considering that the importance of this thing, we know that if you can't get we're good, but these things we must have. And they wouldn't just come to the office and set up an appointment and come to the office. They would then call and follow up. And then they would get the public schedule of this elected official. And so everywhere that elected official went, these white voters who did not vote for him would show up in public where that elected official was at because they understood the power of representation. And they said, we didn't vote for you. We don't even want you in here. Quite frankly, a lot of them was some racist ass white people who did not want that elected official in office, but they understood the assignment of being represented. And the elected official basically said, listen, when it came time to answering to constituents, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And even though I knew that black voters put me in this position, it was the white voters who had an expectation about what should happen. The white voters did not care about the fact that I was representative of a community because, one, I didn't represent their community because this is a black elected official. But white voters were like, we didn't put you in office, but you are representative, so you're going to work for us because we hired you. Or somebody hired you. Senough people hired you. And so now we have demands and we have expectations. I'm saying that to say black voters carried Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey. Black voters carried Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. Black voters carried Zohran Mamdani in New York City. And as amazing as that is, it would be absolutely tragic if we wasted the significance of this moment. Because once you carry an elected official on your back, your melanated back, where your ancestors are like, baby, understand the assignment. When you do that, you get to make expectations. You get to make demands. You get to say, you ain't here in this, you ain't putting your hand on this Bible or whatever it is you getting sworn in on without our vote. And so Black voters in Virginia, Black voters in New Jersey, Black voters in New York City, what the fuck do we want? What do we want from these elected officials? Yes, we wanted to prevent MAGA from being in office. Yes, we wanted to prevent the white nationalists from coming into office. But what do we want? Besides what we did not want to happen, besides the fact that we voted to prevent bad things from happening. And I'm saying that because in New Jersey, I remember seeing articles all day. I've been reading this stuff while I was on the plane and in the airports. I was watching reports of Black voters who said in New Jersey, we voted for Mikey Sherrill because this was about our freedom. Because they were crystal clear. If Jack Ciattarelli, and literally his name was Ciattarelli, but if Jack Ciattarelli had won, Donald Trump's guy, had he won, Black New Jersey voters were crystal clear about what was going to happen to them. Had Winsome Newsom in Virginia had won, she was MAGA to the court, Black MAGA. And child, ain't no MAGA like Black MAGA. Okay, we can have that conversation another time. But had she won, Black voters were crystal clear about the fact that what we have seen right now has been an intentional destruction of integration. And had these other candidates won, the liberation of Black people was on the ballot. And so now that we have held off the worst of the worst, and shout out to all the other races, because we have Black elected officials right now. Detroit, Black woman elected official. Buffalo, Black woman elected mayor. California, there wasn't even a human on the ballot in California. California was simply an election about Prop 50, which was whether or not California should open up its constitution to allow for redistricting to be a preventative measure against what the Republicans were doing with their redistricting cheating efforts. They didn't even have a human on the ballot. It was just a proposition. Came out in droves. Democrats came out in droves, but Black people, Black voters, what do we want? What do you want from a Mikey Sherrill? What do you want from an Abigail Spanberger? What demands need to be made right now? Moms for Liberty, them white women who are basically the reincarnation of the daughters of the Confederacy, lost every race, every single election where Republicans had a candidate, they lost. They lost. But it's not enough for that to be the electoral win. The electoral win leads to what we can now demand. Now, y'all know I run a law center, and it is a social justice law center. And one of the primary things we focus on is not just making sure we turn out the vote, but making sure that Black people have the capacity to understand how to meaningfully engage with the ballot, which means after we voted the way that we voted, what demands are we going to make? And so I want Black voters to be crystal clear. Thank you for winning. Right? Thank you for showing up. You understood the assignment. You knew what it was. You understood what we had to be done. But now, let's make some demands. What do we want to see? And I think of demands as, what we had before the destruction of integration was cute, right? Like we have the 1964 Civil Rights Act. That's cute. It's lovely. But y'all destroyed diversity, equity, and inclusion. They destroyed it. White people destroyed that shit. And it took like less than 9 months. It was like one of the first things that Donald Trump did, destroy diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I don't want just affirmative action no more. I want quotas. Because white people have demonstrated you do not have the intellectual, spiritual, or racial maturity to be able to recognize that diversity, equity, and inclusion was simply a hack, a way of getting around your multi-century effort to block Black people and everybody else from participating in anything. So we can't just go back to affirmative action. Motherfucker, I want quotas. I want 13%. What are we, 13%? And if y'all fill out the census, I think we will find that we are a larger percentage. I want quotas because white people, you're not trustworthy when it comes to making sure that there's diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't just want an extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies, right? Like right now, the government is shut down because why? The Republicans have basically said we're gutting healthcare, and the Affordable Care Act subsidies, also known as Obamacare, those subsidies are going to expire. And so Republicans are like, well, maybe we'll negotiate to reopen the government. Maybe we'll give you an extension on the Obamacare subsidies. Fuck that and fuck you. I want universal health care. What the government been shut down. Y'all motherfuckers shut down the government and made poverty and hunger a political weapon. Fuck you. I want universal health care. I don't just want to go back to what we used to have because what we used to have wasn't enough. I want all of it. And if MAGA can bring in Doge and all of this shit and destroy the fucking government, I want everything. So Black voters who basically carried the day, What do we want? I don't just want books to not be banned. I want culturally responsive education in every single fucking classroom. And if you cannot be a culturally responsive educator, regardless of your race, you can't teach Black kids. I don't just want basic health care. I want the health care that Congress got. Because we pay for that shit. I don't just want people to have SNAP benefits back. I want free grocery stores. I want every community to have an option for a free grocery store. So I want us as Black voters who carried this fucking country on our backs yesterday. Is it yesterday? What's today? Today's Wednesday? Technically, today's technically Thursday. But the fact that Black people carried this fucking democracy on our backs, I want everything. So saying that is one thing. Demanding it and forcing it into being is another. How are we going to be pressuring the people who only have their positions right now, who are going to be getting inaugurated come January, whenever, when they're going to get inaugurated? What do we want? And how much pressure are we willing to apply to get it? So which of us are going to not only find out where our elected officials, so Abigail Spanberger, Mikey Sherrill, Zohran Mamdani, when we see your public schedules, which of us are going to be showing up at every single public event that you have? How many of us are going to organize the elders in our community, perhaps the retirees who don't have to worry about being at a 9 to 5? And frankly, since so many of us, 400,000 some odd Black women been pushed out of a job, equal numbers of Black men been pushed out of jobs. A whole lot of us got time right now. Which one of us are going to be following these elected officials to every single one of their public engagement opportunities and pressure them with signs, with chants? Where's our culturally responsive education? I don't just want you funding libraries. I want you funding Black educators to be able to show up for Black children in these schools, because we have seen what you will do with education when we aren't demanding otherwise. How many of us are going to be making appointments with these elected officials to hear and not asking them what their agenda is for us, but saying, here's the agenda that you have to implement. And if you can't get these things done, you're not going to be in office anymore. How many of us are going to not just attend those meetings, but are going to create a community chain of responsibility holders, so that even if I can't make it to the second meeting after the first meeting that we had with the elected official, there's a group of people who will be at the second meeting who will be able to report back. We carried these elections on our backs. I don't want us to just be hyped about the fact that Democrats won everything, because frankly, I don't really like the Democrats that much. They're fickle. They're like molasses moving uphill on a cold day. But it's a tool that we get to use in opposition to the Republicans. We didn't just see elections happen. We saw Black people who ain't been to the protests. And I know it's a whole lot of white people that's been upset that Black people ain't been to the protests. Baby, we protested on November 4th of 2024. We protested again on Tuesday. We didn't have to be at them protests. And frankly, y'all not trustworthy enough for us to be at them protests with you, because y'all will watch us get hammed up by ICE. And you know what y'all will do? Y'all will take out your phone and watch as our Black asses get hauled away. How do we know that? Because that's what I see y'all doing every single day. Y'all doing a whole lot of protesting against ICE, where y'all just pull out your fucking cameras. ICE is a whole ass terrorist organization. And y'all just watching motherfuckers be masked, no identity, just big ass men in some masks, snatching motherfuckers off the street. We not safe with y'all. That's why we can't protest with you, in addition to a whole host of other reasons. What do we want? How are we going to show up? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves, because Democrats mollywop the fuck out of Republicans. I hope y'all can hear me. I'm whispering because I'm in a hotel. I'm trying not to be loud and excitable like I always am on the show. So think about the things that we want. I don't just want to go back to what it used to be. I want everything. And frankly, you owe us. You owe us. You owe us everything. You stole everything from us. And I want it all. I want quotas at a bare minimum. I want universal health care, bare minimum. I want a minimum wage that is tied to the cost of living and inflation indexes. Because if we had a minimum wage that was tied to the cost of inflation and the cost of living indexes, we wouldn't have 42 million motherfuckers right now ain't got food in their refrigerators. They don't have food in their cupboards because they were on SNAP. And these assholes use SNAP as a political weapon. So I don't want $7.25 minimum wage. Hell, I just learned that Georgia has like a $5 and change minimum wage. I want a minimum wage that's tied to the cost of living, which would average out, according to the reports I've seen, to like what, $26 an hour? Seems fair to me. Elongated Muskrat is talking about getting a $1 trillion payout package from Tesla. And that motherfucker just stole all our data. Half the reason y'all got people texting you and calling you that you ain't never met before in your life in rates that you ain't never seen in your life is because elongated muskrat came in with Doge and stole all Americans' data and put it up on the web. So if y'all can do that, I want free housing. I want housing for everybody that needs it. I want free medical care. And so right now we're in a situation where Donald Trump and the Republicans realize that they fucked up. They fucked up. They overplayed their hand. They fucked it up bigly. And so now Donald Trump is talking about, well, you should just use the nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster so that you can reopen the government. Okay, well, if you don't get rid of the filibuster, and the reality is if they get rid of the filibuster, that actually is going to play to the benefit of the Democrats, because what we are crystal clear about right now is that nobody likes Republican policies. Republican policies suck. The whole world sees it. It's amazing. It's wonderful. That's fantastic. But what are we going to do with the information that we have right now? I would, if I'm the person who's negotiating with the Republicans about reopening the government, it's not just about the ACA subsidies. Free healthcare for everybody. Because not only when the ACA subsidies end, it's Medicaid that's been gutted, it's all the social safety that's been gutted. Put it all back and then fully fund it. Because even when we had food stamps, it wasn't enough money that people was getting to get them to the end of the month. And if you paid them a minimum wage that was tied to the cost of living and to the inflation indexes, they would not need food stamps anymore. So I want us to get creative, because it's kind of hard to think about what liberation looks like when you're trapped in the realities of what enslavement was. And so I want us to tap into our imaginations. What do we need in order to thrive? A lot of us have been talking about mutual aid. We've been talking about doing the work of building community. What would that look like with government funding? I want free grocery stores in every community. Everybody ain't gonna go there, because y'all still gonna go to your Whole Foods, your Trader Joe's, and all your other places, your Aldi's and whatnot. But for the people who can't do that, they should have free healthcare. And I'm sorry, free grocery stores. I want free healthcare. I want I want student loan forgiveness for everybody. So if we're gonna reopen the government and y'all need the Democrats to do that, Democrats, grow a fucking spine and do it. I saw this sister who said that the only way that Republicans, and this is I wish I knew what her name was. I'm not remembering at the moment. But she basically said that the only way the Republicans will open up the government is if the Democrats will agree to have 4 people who will refuse to vote for the release of the Epstein files. And she told the Democrats, I need you to find 4 motherfuckers who's going to lie. Get 4 Democrats who will lie and say, of course, I'm going to vote to not allow the Epstein files to be released. I'm with you, Republicans. Reopen the government and then switch. Be diabolical for good. Be nefarious for good. Reopen the government and then release the fucking Epstein files. Get that sister Abigail Grivaldi, I'm messing up her name, the sister who won out in Arizona, who they refused. Was it Arizona? Or maybe I can't remember where she was sworn in at. She's been elected like for over a month. I can't remember where she came from. But the fact that they refused to swear her in, just agree. Be diabolical. Tap into your inner evil. I know you got it, because you don't have no problem tapping into evil when it comes to benefiting wealthy people. Let's tap into that shit for the poor. So these are some of my thoughts. These folks who are celebrating right now, there's nothing to celebrate if Black voters didn't show up. Black voters really showed up, as we always do, because we understand what time it is. So now let's make the demands. Let's not do what we often do, where we show up, we win an election for somebody, and then we're just happy to see them in the street, to see them at the corner store, to see them when they come to our pastor's office. What are the demands? What do we want? How engaged are we going to be to get it? Tina said, fully fund everything that helps people. Free trade school, yes. Free college education, yes. Free healthcare, yes. Affordable housing, affordable cars, buses, trains, and planes. And can we get some public transportation in this bitch, please? And no more data centers. There's so many things we could be envisioning. And frankly, we have the leverage if we use it. We put these people in office. And representation is cute. That's lovely. But if it ain't going to get you what you need, then baby, what is we doing? So shout out to the Democrats. And to the voters who came out, shout out to the independents, shout out to the Republicans who voted for Democratic candidates, because you know that your party sucks right now. The policies that you're putting forward are anti-human. So yeah, I just think that we should be really clear about what happened yesterday. And it's because it's not just about the wins, it's about who brought them the wins. Let's sit in that position of power and make demands. It's not enough to just have people get to coast on the fact that we came out and showed out and it's amazing and it's wonderful. What do we get for it? Besides the fact that we get the I voted sticker. And I wore my I voted sticker all day. I did. I probably still have it on my jean jacket or whatever I had on. It's time to make demands. And it's time for us to cultivate a level of civic sophistication that will ensure that we're not just voting and then that's it. There's 364 other fucking days in the year. So how do we show up for ourselves in a way that's going to allow these elections to bring benefits back home? I don't just want DEI, because y'all dismantled DEI so easily. They dismantled it so easily. Quotas. And I'm going to do the work of making sure that Black people fill out the census so that we get the proper representation. Because I believe Black people are about 20% of the population. I know we only maxed out at 13% of the population. I just personally believe we're closer to 20% of the population, but we don't fill out the census. And those are the numbers that we use officially. I want quotas. I want 20% of all positions. And you let us worry about who gonna get it. We have no problem with having the best of our best rise to the top. That's what we've had to do all the time. I want quotas. And, mediocre white people, you will have your space as well, because quotas will also protect you. Somebody said NYCHA needs fixing. For those of you who are not inside New York City, NYCHA is our projects. NYCHA needs fixing. NYCHA needs a whole lot of fixing. Think about it. All the things that we need right now. Envision it. Imagine it. We got to be clear. Josiah said the TSA workers determine the length of the shutdown. Listen, I'm seeing these reports. Right now, I am not home. I'm not in New York. I am away at doing some political work and some social justice work. I'm praying I can get back on Sunday, because there's a good chance that the airlines might be shut down. But did you see the conversations that the Republicans are having right now? They're talking about doing whatever they can to end the shutdown, because they are crystal clear that the shutdown is one of the reasons that they lost. This is leverage, and I want us to use it. I want us to use it. All right, somebody said one AI picture is almost a liter of water. Stop using AI. God damn, stop using AI. It's just a cheat code for lazy people. I ain't gonna front. Like I too get a joy out of seeing the hard work that I've done put into a chat GPT and then seeing chat GPT make it much better. That's wonderful. That's lovely. But how much water is it consuming? How much energy is it consuming? How much heat is it generating? How many communities are not going to be livable because you couldn't sit down for half an hour and do your PowerPoint and you wanted to get AI to do your PowerPoint for you? Yeah, I agree with that. Shout out to Mike who said that. Mike, man. I'm scrolling through the comments now because I'm pretty much done. I just want us to be clear about what's happening. And make sure, what demand did Black people place on Eric Adams? Black people didn't make demands on Eric Adams. We didn't make demands on Eric Adams. And here's my issue with what happened with Eric Adams. This is Hood Mayor of New York City. Black people did not make demands on Eric Adams because Black people as voters, as a result of being in a position where we could be killed for trying to have electoral empowerment conversations from 1619 until 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed, really 1965 when the Voting Rights Act was passed, that is 340 some odd, I think it's like 345 years, where if you could be killed for trying to have conversations like we have them right now, our civic sophistication is very low. Black people, and I will say this to y'all because I'm confessing. I would rather in many cases have a white elected official, because I know that Black people will protest the white elected official. Black people are very forgiving of Black people. We love ourselves to the extent that we do. And we will forgive Black elected officials when they fuck up for things that we would never forgive white elected officials for. We will forgive Black elected officials for violating our community in ways that we would never forgive white elected officials. So for me, sometimes it's easier to have a white elected official because I know I can organize the community to pressure them. Black people did not make demands on Eric Adams. And if Eric Adams had been a white man, 98% of what Eric Adams did, Black people would have protested, would have been out in the streets. He was one of the most anti-Black candidates and mayors that we have had in a very long time. Black people lost school subsidies under Eric Adams. Our libraries got closed under Eric Adams. We had, almost 1,000 National Guard troops flooding the New York City subways under Eric Adams. I know a lot of people are mad about the National Guard flooding into cities, as you should be, because it's terrible and it's awful. But Eric Adams did that shit first. Black people lost after school funding. We lost summer youth employment funding. We lost housing funding. We lost funding for mental support services, mental health support services, so that the NYPD could get bigger. If Eric Adams had been a white man, Black people would have been protesting in the street from day one, but we did not, because we're very forgiving of Black people. That is not to our benefit. So we should not do that anymore. Okay, what does this say? Why do you have to pay to participate in an economy and a society that taxes you on everything? LOL foolishness. Because that's capitalism. That's American capitalism. Shout out to 9 Ether Media Group. It's just American capitalism. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through now to see comments to make sure I'm getting as many things as I could. I hear the Target CEO has been begging Black folks to come back. We're not going back to Target. We're not going back. Oh, that's the other thing. Now that we have this election result, I'm so glad you said that. Shout out to you, Paula Walla Pride. As a result of what happened last night, here's the other thing we got to watch for. Not y'all, we, because I'm a part of this. We have to watch for. Corporations are about the money. And corporations saw the entire American populace that came out last night say, yo, y'all is fucked up. We don't like what's happening right now. Be watchful. Watch how many corporations start to change their tune and roll back the rollback of DEI. Watch how many corporations tried to tap back into the realization that, oh, maybe people really do like diversity, equity, and inclusion. But you know what our response to that should be? I feel. Y'all may feel differently about this. Close the wallets. We're not going to give you the fourth quarter that you need. We're not going to save you with all of our sale purchases, and there ain't going to be no Black Friday. It's going to be blackout Black Friday. Ain't going to be no Black Friday, not in my household. Like, y'all, I believe we should be having conversations with our kids, with our people who we typically buy gifts for during the holiday season. We're not doing that this year. The gifts we're going to give to each other are gifts of service. The gifts, the things we're going to show up for, the things we're going to stand in line for, we should, instead of standing in line to go into Walmart, to go into Target, to go into all of these stores that rolled back diversity, equity, and inclusion, that contributed to the destruction of integration, that contributed to the fact that Black people have a higher unemployment rate now than we did last year. The only lines we should be standing in are lines of service. How can we help people? We should close the fucking wallets, because these corporations, I'm telling you, watch how quickly they switch it up. Like, after some serious consideration, we've decided that perhaps we should be a little less intentional or intense about our rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity is our strength. Y'all heard Andrew Cuomo say that? Andrew Cuomo said diversity is a strength until it's not. He said that while getting 2 Black reporters confused. He confused Jonathan Capehart and Eugene Daniels. He said, yeah, diversity is our strength until it's not. And they asked him to clarify. And that white man said, well, diversity is our strength until you have antipathy between the races. You mean diversity is our strength until white people get mad about it? That's what he's basically saying. Diversity is really good until you do too much diversity, and the people who have benefited from a racial oppression are upset with you. That's when diversity is bad. Fuck you. I'm glad you lost. All right, let's see how many other comments. Let's see, definitely elated with the results. Let's continue the work. Yes. Amsterdam, delete Chat GPT. Yes, delete Chat GPT, Copilot. Don't use Gemini and Grok. We are using artificial intelligence that's firing everybody and is drinking all the water and poisoning the air. The only thing that's going to be left after people get done with this whole Chat GPT era is like a bunch of machines that drink our water and pollute our air. And have you realized that when you look at the flow charts of money between the artificial intelligence agencies, I saw this meme that basically said the entire economy is being held by a bunch of different corporations sharing like a $1 trillion amongst each other. Like, you got NVIDIA, OpenAI, all of these organizations that are basically just sending money back and forth to each other. And that's what's holding up the economy. Also, people can like have easy shit done for them by computers. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to me. All right, so let's see. I got to get going. Eric Adams sullied the good work of the Honorable David Deakins. Facts. That is correct. I do not forgive Eric Adams for allowing more corruption within the police department. Also true. And listen, one good thing that brother did do during his election, he put out this animated video about how awful Andrew Cuomo had been to Black elected officials. I appreciated that because it was true. And I'm glad that Andrew Cuomo lost. Okay, stop spending your money. Yes, only buy your needs, not your wants. Yes. Oh, here's the other thing. And I think I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to get ready to go. I'm tired now. But I'm going to talk about this more on Friday, I think, if I can squeeze it into the show. I want us to be crystal clear about the fact that the one thing that could save us from all of the shit that's happening is an eruption of community, like an eruption of mutual aid and support for community, because they want us to go back to buying things. They want us to go back to consuming. Now, we half of us ain't got no jobs no more. The other half of us ain't got no food in the grocery store. So I don't know how we buying shit. But they want us to get back to the consumption part. But Donald Trump's policies are so fucked up, and it's destroying economies all across the country that people can't buy things. They're breaking capitalism by shoving capitalism down our throats. And I think the one thing that could help us to escape from this hamster wheel of whatever extreme capitalism is leading us to, is an eruption of community where we are doing the work of helping each other meet our needs. I think if we were able to do that, we would. Y'all, I'm going to talk more about this on Friday, because I believe that Donald Trump, up until yesterday, had no incentive to end the shutdown. Without government in place, he basically can do whatever he wants. He gets to be the dictator. There's no oversight. There's no hearings. There's no anything. There's no questions about what he's doing. So he has no incentive to end the shutdown. So these are things we have to think about. All right, get rid of the Fourth Amendment. Well, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that comment. Let's see. We're not falling for their game. Yeah, that's it. I'm with you on that one. Right now, y'all, I'm just scrolling through the comments, just trying to see. Close the wallets. I think that should be the campaign. Close the wallets. And there's a sister on Instagram, I think her name is Cynthia Noir, who's been talking about this extensively. Y'all should follow her. I'll find her name and then I'll talk about it tomorrow, perhaps. Close the wallets. We're not going to be. The fourth quarter is when all the corporations that have been in the red this entire year get to be in the black. And being in the black is good, because when you're a corporation, being in the black means all your bills are paid, and that's where you get your revenue. They're going to get all of their revenue that they need in this fourth quarter if we do what we usually do. Let's not do that. Close the wallets. We're not doing that this year. Cancel your subscriptions. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, what? The complacency might be reversed. I don't care. Okay, I'm just scrolling. Christmas is coming. Don't commercialize the holidays. Close your wallets. And let's do Kwanzaa. Right? We can do Christmas and Kwanzaa. And I say let's do Kwanzaa because Kwanzaa is not about gifts that you buy. It's about things that you make from the heart. It's about meeting community needs. It's about service. It's about education. It's about, Kwanzaa is an amazing holiday, but it's an opportunity for us to not consume things, but to be givers, to be engaged in crafts, to be thinking about what we can make with our hands to give to each other. Let's do that this holiday season. I think we should do a Close the Wallets campaign. I'm excited about that. Christmas is canceled over here. My gift is quality time and acts of service. Yes, pretty score 80. I'm with you on that. I agree. You can be a first lady. It's all gravy. I am a first lady. I'm a first lady in my household with my husband, who's my first husband and only husband. All right, I'm just scrolling right now to make sure I'm responding to don't buy shit except food to eat and clothes for growing children, and start growing food. Everybody should be growing something. You should be growing food. I wanted ADOS FBA to have reparations. If Israel, that's a conversation I can't get into. That's too many details, and I'm a little too lit for that level of thought today. I think this is it. I think this is good. This is all I really wanted to say. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you all for supporting this channel. Somebody said I got beans and rice at my house. I'll feed us on Mondays. Ain't it funny how beans and rice taste good now, but when you was a kid and poor, it was like beans and rice again. I love beans and rice. My kids think my children do not associate rice and beans with poverty the way that I did. They just think it's good. I swear, the luxury of children who grew up with parents who grew up poor, but the parents have worked really hard so the kids don't grow up poor. They don't know the struggle. They don't know the struggle. But all right, I'm going to leave it there. It's late and I still have to get ready for this conference that I'm at tomorrow. I really appreciate you all. And I'm so grateful that voters came out the way that they did. I was really scared for New Jersey. I was scared for a lot of these races. And y'all, here's one other thing. Mississippi. Did you see what happened in Mississippi? They broke the supermajority in Mississippi. The Republicans had a supermajority in Mississippi for like over a decade. And voters came out and they don't have a supermajority in Mississippi anymore. Georgia had flipped 2 seats related to the positions that set the prices for utilities, for the energy costs in the state of Georgia. They flipped them to Democrats. Them seats ain't been Democratic seats since for 2 decades. It's amazing. It's amazing. Somebody said, and porridge. Who here likes porridge? Yes, Gina Best. Porridge is amazing. Even though my grandfather said it was poor people food, it is amazing. Texas, I don't know. Texas, we got a lot of organizing to do in Texas. I don't think Texas is red. I think Texas is unorganized politically. But I just wanted to get in and share some thoughts. I wanted to do this way earlier, but I was on planes all day and I'm at this conference and had to do conference things because I have a whole ass law center to run and justice to try to seek. So I wasn't able to get on here earlier. But I want you to all to know that I appreciate you and I'm optimistic right now. We have demonstrated that all is not lost. All ain't won either. Like, so don't get all up in your, your rose-colored glasses. All is not won. But this was a moment. And I think people should enjoy it. They should celebrate it. Shout out to Zohran Mamdani. Although I'm a little concerned because he basically, well, I'll talk about Zohran at another time. Just because I think that Black voters, we kind of played ourselves in New York City in a way with the primary. But that's all right. We here now because at the end of the day, Black voters they carry Zohran Mamdani as well. But I want us to get really creative about what it is we want. And what we want is not just an end to the revitalization of white Christian nationalism and white supremacist ideology that's designed to destroy integration and basically plunge us back into Jim Crow in a Project 2025 framework. We want healthcare. We want housing. We want people to not have to go hungry. How you in the richest country in the world and people are hungry? I don't understand that. I don't understand that, except greed. And if we do the work of doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on centering community, I think that's how we win. But we have to demand it and we have to be willing to work for it. Yes, Detroit got the first Black woman mayor. My sister is in Detroit. I'm excited about that. Every time I go to Detroit, I feel extra Black. So shout out to them. At least Cuomo ain't in there, child. You and me both. At least Cuomo ain't in there, honey. Andrew Cuomo was not going to be good for us. But here we are. Here we are. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. I love you. I'm going to do a live tomorrow. I don't know what time. It won't be this late because I got to go to sleep. And I cannot believe I'm up this late. It is so past my bedtime and I barely had a nap today, which is not a good thing. But I will do a live tomorrow as well. It won't be during the show, though, because my show is going to be pre-recorded tomorrow and Friday because, again, I'm at work. So that's happening. But I will do a live and just share with y'all some thoughts and additional conversation. Oh, yes. Thank you, Gina Best. J.D. Vance's brother. So y'all, J.D. Vance got a whole half brother. J.D. Vance is not a real human being. J.D. Vance has changed his name 4 times. I don't know anybody who's done that ever in life. I don't know who J.D. Vance actually was, but J.D. Vance's brother was running in Cincinnati, lost so bad. He lost like Lot's wife losing her life, looking back and turning into a pillar of salt. He lost so bad. I was like, oh, that's a sign. Nobody likes Republican policies. They suck. They're anti-human. They're anti-community. And the ability to recognize that now, I will say thank you to the Republicans for the fact that now that everyone has seen what happens when you're in power, we can all see that we don't like it. You're not good at this. You're not good at governing. And now we get an opportunity to act on it. J.D. Vance needs a new couch. Free the couches. Can we free all the couches from J.D. Vance's attention? I think that's important. That's important. Somebody says Zohran showed that he did not need us to win. In the primary, yes. Yes, he did. In the primary, Zohran Mamdani did demonstrate that you could win an election in New York City without having Black voters, but that's largely because of the policies of, say, a governor like Andrew Cuomo, who contributed to basically 200,000 Black families no longer being in New York City. The reason that Zohran Mamdani was able, I think, to demonstrate that he could win a primary without Black voters is because Black voters aren't here. They're not in New York City the way that we used to be. And I blame, frankly, and I'm gonna be careful how I say this because I'm literally at a political conference for Black New Yorkers, for New Yorkers. Part of the reason that they were able to do that is because Black elected officials did not have sufficient enough policies to center housing and equitable access to housing for Black New Yorkers. And I say that because as somebody who has advocated for housing programs for Black New Yorkers, who put forward policies and programs that elected officials should have supported but did not. And one of the things we told them was, you're not just going to lose Black New Yorkers, you're also going to lose your voting base. So yeah, Zohran Mamdani was able to not just win without tapping into Black voters in the primary, But he was able to win because he supplemented what would have been black voters by reaching out to other communities that had never been targeted before. So it's not just a one-to-one sort of thing. There are layers to this thing. There are layers to this thing. And what you're not going to do is get me starting a whole other conversation because I'm very tired and I'm trying to get off this live. But every time I read one of y'all's comments, you make me want to keep talking. Anyway, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening. Please check out the podcast, Lurie Breaks It Down, which comes out every day, 2 episodes a day. In the morning at 6 a.m., you get your moment of gratitude and inspiration. And in the afternoon, that's when we hit you with the hard news. We start with the moment of gratitude and inspiration because my show is very difficult. My show is hard to listen to. It is for people who are thinkers. It is for people who are not here for the fluff. I never get a chance to get to pop culture, mainly because I have such a short period of time to get a lot of information in. So I don't get to do the gossip and, the who's sleeping with who. I don't get to do that. So although I'm very interested in all those things, I just don't get a chance to talk about it on my show because the show is specifically designed to sit in the intersections of race, gender, cultural identity, politics, and the law. And because that's so heavy, we got to have a moment of gratitude, a moment where we get to have some wellness, where we get to do every day on my show, we do a deep breathing exercise. We do a point of inspiration, which again, we call the moment of gratitude. And so that segment we release every morning the following day at 6 a.m. so that you can incorporate that into your wellness practices. And then in the afternoon, that's when you can get that hard and fast news, which is what will be happening tomorrow. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you for rocking with me. And I know I had said that I was going to do a live earlier today. I was actually about to come into my hotel room and fall asleep, but I was like, ooh, I said I was going to do it, so I got to do it. But I appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful night. Tomorrow's show is going to be fire, as always, because I do my best to make sure it's always fire. And think about what it is that we want as Black voters. Relish this moment. We Black voters push back on MAGA bigly. Very proud of all of us. But what do we want? How do we take this moment and make it not just about this election, but make it about our future? How do we cultivate the levels of civic sophistication that are necessary in order to not just elect the candidates of our choosing, but then force those candidates to do our bidding the way every other civically healthy community does? I love y'all. Have a great night. I don't know how I turn this off because I'm doing this on my phone and it's so much easier on the computer, but I'm going to hit some buttons and think that's going to do the trick. All right, y'all. Have a great night. I will talk to you tomorrow. Peace. Maybe peace. Can I hit the button?